Here's a short video on how to get descriptive and frequency data from SPSS. So this is an SPSS data set. You got some variables listed up here and then some different data listed down below in these rows. To learn more about your variables, you can click this variable view and you can see what those variables are defined as for the purposes of this study. So for example, here we've got a variable called gender. We'll have numeric data here, 2 decimal places, and the label says that this is the gender of student. So this means that this is the gender of some student in a class. The way we can tell which is by going to values, clicking on this blue little box here, and we'll see that 1 stands for males, 2 stands for females. So that means that when I go back to data view, down here, this 1 in the gender box tells me that this person and all of the data that go across for this person is for a male student. So if I go down here to grade, I see that this grade is for an end of the year presentation. So that's what all of these grades here mean. You can also find out what type of data you're using. So this first type, gender, will be nominal or categorical. And then here you'll have scale data, scalar data, or interval ratio data. So this nominal data is just naming 2 different groups. This scalar data or interval ratio data can give us meaningful pieces of information about this group. So let's get that information. To do that, we'll go to Analyze first, Descriptive Statistics, and then Frequencies. So here we'll choose Grade, since that's the type of data we can use to get meaningful information. Then we'll click on Statistics, and let's go ahead and select all of these central tendency measures. These are the things that you've been calculating by hand so far. We can also get measures of variance by clicking on standard deviation, range. You can also get the minimum and the maximum, and the standard error of the mean. Let's go ahead and click variance as well. Alright, so we'll click continue here. And then finally, you'll also get frequency tables made for you. So let's click OK. And you'll get an output that looks like this. So we can move this blue bar over a little bit more so that we can read everything here. And then here is our first set of descriptive statistics. So we know that we have 68 students total. Their average is of 93, about a 93. For instance, the median is 94. The mode is 90. We have a little asterisk here that tells us multiple modes exist. So we can check that by coming down here to the frequency table to see what other grades are frequently seen. So if we look here at this frequency column, we see that 90 has 10 students, so 10 students got a 90 on their project. But we also see that 10 students got a 94 and 10 students got a 96. So 94 and 96 are also modes. So it's a good thing to check your frequency table if you see an asterisk here for mode. Then you have everything else we checked off: standard deviation, variance, range. The minimum grade was an 88, maximum was 100. Then when we look at the valid percent and cumulative percent, that corresponds to your relative frequencies, cumulative frequencies. It's just that these are calculated out of percentages. So you might be calculating them out of 1 instead of 100. That's okay. All of these numbers will still be the same. They'll just be 1 decimal over. Instead of being 7.4, for instance, they would be 0.74. Or actually 0.074. Alright, so let's say we want to split this information up. We've got another variable of gender. If we go back to our data set, we can see that. So let's say we want to see the mean and the median and mode and all of that stuff for females versus males. So we can do that by going to Data, Split File, and then taking compare groups and putting gender here in this groups based on. So originally this should be over here, but we'll move it over here for this split file. So then we'll click OK. And then usually you'll see something that says split file off down here, or I'm sorry, split file on down here. I'm not sure why it didn't pop up here, but let's go ahead and just go run everything one more time. So again, we've got everything the same. We have all of the same things checked here. And we're only looking at the grade. Let's click OK. And yes, so now we have our statistics separated by males versus females. So we can see here, for instance, that the average grade that the males got was about a 93. The average grade that the females got was about a 94. All right? So by doing this, we can see how these measures of central tendency change based on gender. We can also see the frequency table split up by gender as well. And even though these numbers may differ, you're going to learn more statistical techniques to find out whether those differences are significant. So just because the males have an average of 92.657 here, and the females have an average of 94.36, that doesn't necessarily mean that that is a significant difference. So that's a little bit of what you'll be learning in Stats 2. Alright, so to turn the split file off, you need to go back to Data, Split File, and Analyze All Cases. So this should be grayed out. If you want to take this out first before you do that, you can do that. So let's take this out and click Analyze All Cases, and then click OK. And then usually you'll see something down here that says Split File Off. Again, not sure why it's not popping up now. But let's run the analysis again just to check. So we'll click Frequencies. We'll leave everything the same. All of the same stuff is checked. And then we'll click OK. And we're back to normal down here. So it's no longer separated by males and females. So this was just an introduction to SPSS and how you can get your descriptive and frequency data. The more of the tests that you'll be learning will look at how variables are related to one another, as well as how variables differ based on frequencies. So it's good to get a good foundation on this and learning your way around SPSS now, so that when you get to the more confusing stuff, you'll be good to go.